everyone, welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Today we're going to show you how to install Oracle Database 19c on Oracle Linux 8. If you're looking at my screen now, you're seeing a terminal session that is opened up, and I am remoted into an Oracle Linux 8.8 VM. So what we need to do to install Oracle Linux 8, it's really straightforward and simple. If you've never worked with Oracle before, of course, it can be quite difficult, but I'm just going to change to the root user, and we'll just go ahead and show you our host name is OL8, and we are root. Now, print the working directory /root. If I list the directory here, we can see that I already have downloaded the DB Home zip installation media from Oracle's website. So that's a prerequisite to this. Of course, you do want to go ahead and have that software available on your virtual machine. So the next thing to do is we're going to go ahead and set values for Oracle_base at uo1/app/Oracle. And then we're going to set our Oracle Home. So Oracle Home is the directory in which we're going to install the database software. So we'll do the same thing here. Export _Oracle Home equals uo1 app Oracle /product/19.0.0/dbhome_1. And what this is doing is basically just setting these two variables that we need to have for the installation. If you're familiar with Oracle software, you've worked with it a lot, you know what Oracle Home, Oracle Base are, but this is a prerequisite, essentially, if you're not very familiar with Oracle. The next thing we want to do is have a user, a Linux user, that is the owner of the Oracle software. So that user, by convention, is going to be Oracle. So we'll do a user add Oracle command. I may have created this user earlier, so that's no big deal. Yeah, Oracle already exists, probably from me playing around before I got to this. And then the next thing we want to do is the user Oracle must belong to 3 different operating system groups. So those groups are oinstall, DBA, and OPER, Opper. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add those groups as operating system groups to the operating system. So I'll say group add oinstall, group add DBA, and group add Opper. Now what we need to do is set these groups to be part of Oracle's groups, the operating system user Oracle. So the first command I'm going to run is usermod -g oinstall. If I can type today, Oracle. What this does is sets the Oracle user's primary group to oinstall, and then as additional groups, Oracle should also be a member of DBA and Opper. So what we're going to do is going to say usermod -a -G DBA Oracle usermod -a -G Opper Oracle. And what this does is adds the Oracle user, sets their primary group to oinstall, and adds them to the secondary groups DBA and Opper. And what we can do is say ID Oracle and verify this. So we see over here UID 1001 Oracle, group ID oinstall, and then member of groups oinstall, DBA, and Opper. This is perfect. This is what we absolutely want. So if I echo my Oracle Home again, which is where we want the software to be installed, that's all fine and good, but I have made a slight error here. So I will instead export Oracle _home equals, paste, and I'll go back fix U01, and it's going, instead of AP, it's going to be PP Oracle. So now, and I'm just going to do this because I have a bad habit of pressing Escape K instead of up. U01 app Oracle product 19.0.0 DB home. So now Oracle home is the directory where we're going to actually install the Oracle software. So of course, for us to install it there, we have to actually create it. So I'm going to say make dir /p, which means make this directory and any of the parent directories that we need. So that's all fine and good. Then I'll say ls-l/u01. We see it's got app. And then we could follow this all the way up to our database home. So we've created the directory that we need. I'll go back to roots home, and in order for this to work, of course, we're going to have to change the ownership of that directory to the user Oracle and group O install. So I'll change own -r, which means recursively change these directories. Oracle group O install /u01. So now if I change directory to U01, we can see that all of the subdirectories are owned by Oracle for the group O install, which is what we need. So now in Oracle Linux 8, there's a built-in firewall, a software firewall, firewall D. What we want to do is add an exception to that firewall for TNS. So this means if we were going to connect, say, via Toad or DataGrip or some other query tool, dbeaver, any of that stuff, we're going to want to have an exception in the firewall for port 1521. So we'll do that here, firewall-cmd --permanent --zone equals public, and --add -port equals 1521/TCP. So what this command, as it returns success, does is adds an exception to that software firewall for port 1521. And I'll go ahead and reload that firewall right now. So we've got an exception for 1521, so we should be good on that front. Another thing that we want to do is the Oracle installation guide recommends that we set the value for SE Linux. SE Linux is a secure Linux type execution environment. What they recommend, well, actually the software installation will fail if we don't do this, is to set SE Linux from enabled to permissive. And what we can do is go ahead, and since we're root, this is fine, we can go ahead and do vi/etc SE Linux /config. And what we want to do here is where this SE Linux equals enforcing, we're going to go ahead and set that to permissive. And save. So what that does is go ahead and do this command, set enforce permissive. And then what we could do is get enforce, if you spell it correctly, permissive. So this just sets SE Linux to permissive. This what we have to do for the Oracle software install. It's probably not best practice if you're not installing Oracle, but this is what you do. So the next thing that I like to do anyway is go ahead and change directory to /home/Oracle. And then there are a few values that I like to set in Oracle's .bashrc or .bash_profile. I'm old school. I just do .bashrc. So I'm going to say vi.bashrc. And then several things that we need to set here are Oracle Home, well, Oracle base first, and then Oracle home is uo1/app/oracle/product /19.0.0/dbhome_1. And then I also like to add the Oracle home /bin directory to Oracle's path. So to do that, I'll just say export path equals $path and then the colon to append Oracle_home/bin. So now we're in good shape to go ahead and execute the pre-installation scripts that we need to go ahead and get started with installing the Oracle database software. So the command for that, if you read the installation documentation, is yum-y install Oracle-database pre-install -19c. Go ahead and execute that. And what that's going to do is it's going to go ahead and download all the packages that we need. It's going to execute some pre-installation scripts. It's going to take care of, honestly, a lot of the stuff that we would normally have to worry about if we were installing Oracle Database on another operating system like IBM's AIX or HP UX, if we're on those flavors of Unix. But Linux honestly makes it very easy, especially because Oracle Database is nowadays becoming more and more executed on Linux software. So this will take just a few minutes to run. We'll go ahead and let it do its thing. It's going to execute several different installation scripts, download some packages, and go ahead and take care of, honestly, a lot of the heartache that we'd normally have to worry about. So that's doing its part. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to log in as user Oracle, which we just created. A good thing to do at this step is to set the password. Oh, we see it's already complete. So that's perfect. So at this step, I usually like to set the password. So I'll do PASSWD Oracle, and then changing password for user Oracle. I'll give it a new password, and in the spirit of being very secure, I've just set it to Oracle. So I'm going to clear the screen, make some more real estate, and I'm going to change user to Oracle. I don't know why that did that. Maybe I did something as rude earlier that made this all screwy, so let's just, that's funny. Anyway, I'm going to do this. You shouldn't have to do this. And then change back to Oracle. This is just me screwing around earlier, guys. You shouldn't have this issue. This is me getting set up for this video. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I've got Oracle Home as user Oracle and Oracle Base set, and I do. So now what I want to do is change directory to Oracle Home, which is where the software is going to be installed. That looks beautiful. So we're user Oracle. We have this database home, this Oracle Home, already created. So now the only thing to do is to unzip the actual software. So in /root, which I can't view because I'm user Oracle, I have placed a copy of the database software. What you're going to want is this linux.x64_version_db_home.zip. I'm going to go ahead and just copy that file name, and then as root, I'm going to go ahead and change directory to uo1 app oracle product 19 db home 1. So I'm in db home 1, and I'm going to unzip -q, which means just quiet. It doesn't give me any output. I'm going to unzip this file in root's home directory into the Oracle home. So that's going to run for a few seconds. What it's going to do is going to take the contents, or this zip file here, from root's home directory, go ahead and unzip it in this dbhome_1. So that's going to run for a second or two. And basically what we're going to do from this step on out is we're going to change back to the Oracle user, go into that Oracle home, and then we're going to execute a script within that Oracle home called run installer. And run installer is going to go ahead and install the Oracle database software. So this is all, of course, as you've seen, it's messy. There's a lot of steps. There's things that can be missed. But if you were going to do it manually, this is the way that you'd approach doing that, unless you use the RPM, which is a package manager. Oh, we already finished. But anyway, so there could be ways to go about doing this a little bit more easily, but this is the way that we're going to do it. So I'll switch back to Oracle. Actually, what we need to do, since we extracted this as user root, we can see that it's owned by root and group root. What I'll do is change own -r Oracle o install, and I'll say dbhome1. So now if I look at this directory, dbhome, it's owned by Oracle. Everything looks good. So I'll go ahead and clear screen, and we're going to change back to user Oracle. So who am I? I'm Oracle, and I can cd into Oracle_home. And if I look, I've got this good old script run installer. So if I execute run installer, so no display variable was set. This is fine. The best thing to do when you get this is go ahead and log straight out of everything and open up terminal. I'll just SSH Oracle at OL8, which is my VM, and then I'll say cd Oracle_home and /run installer. I don't know why I'm getting that. Anyway, let's see what my, oh, I got it. I'm not on the actual machine itself. So I have to export, I have to set this one environment variable to my current machine. So I executed the ifconfig command to figure out that my current machine IP is 192.168.0.27. So I'll say export display equals 192.168.0.27, and then it's :screen number 0. So now I should be able to do run installer. I don't know why that's not working. So what we'll do is we'll just close this terminal. I'll go into the virtual box that I was, you guys shouldn't have this. It's 99% of the issues I'm running into is because I'm doing this from a virtual machine. So what I'll do, I'll come down here and I'll actually switch. This is the operating system itself. I'm going to go ahead and switch user to user Oracle. And it's Oracle's password. There's a script that I've written for this exact process because as you can see, it's very, very messy and there are a lot of steps. And it can leave you scratching your head. So run installer. So this should work. Yes, so now we see the 19C database software install prompt. And if you're on Oracle Linux 8, which is certified with database 19C, you might be kind of taken aback that you're getting this supported OS check exception. So obviously this is supported software. So what we're going to do is say no. If you read Oracle support out there on MOS, there's a note that says change directory into CV, change directory into admin, and edit this CVU config. And uncomment this guy right here. CV assume dist ID equals OEL5. It has something to do with patch sets of the application, or excuse me, the OS. You don't have to worry about it. Just know that it's of course supported. It's Oracle Linux 8, and the documentation and the certifications are all good. So now after changing that, we do run installer, and we're going to get the database software installer. OUI is going to boot up, no problem. And then from this, we can install our database software. What I like to do is go ahead and set up software only, click next, and do a single instance database installation, or rack if we're going to go through 10 hours installing rack. I'm not going to do that here, guys. And we'll just click next. Enterprise or standard, we're going to do enterprise. UO1 app Oracle is our Oracle base, and it's going to go ahead and show our Oracle home here. UO1 app Oracle product 19.0.0 db home _1. Go ahead and click next through this. It's going to ask where we're going to create the Aura inventory and the group name used to manage that. Go ahead and click next. I leave all these defaults here. If you have better separation of duties at your company, you might want different operating system groups. We're going to go ahead and click next. Now it's going to ask us for the root script execution, how we're going to run this. Run as user root, or use sudo and run as user Oracle, and then ask for Oracle's password. In this case, I know the password for user root, so we're going to go ahead and click next. So this is going to run through some different checks. Swap size, if you read the installation guide, it was going to tell you you need more than 4 gig of swap size. I know that. I'm going to go ahead and choose to ignore it. For a production installation, you should actually make sure that this has the amount of the amount of swap size that you need for a production installation. Go ahead and click next again. Yes, I've chosen to ignore some prerequisites. That's fine. Now at this point, it's going to prompt you to save a response file. I always save these, though I never do anything with them most of the time. So I'll save the response file and click on install. So what's going to happen is the different Oracle binaries, they're going to be linked. The Oracle base installation is going to be set up, and because we entered the password for user root, the root installation scripts are going to go ahead and be run automatically for us. So this is going to take some time. I'm not going to go through and just watch it and watch the water boil, but basically you're going to go through some different installation steps, and then the Oracle database software itself is going to go ahead and be set up. So you say, okay, good, we got the Oracle database software set up. So what do we do from here? Well, this is why your company needs a DBA. The database software itself will be installed, but there will be no database created. There won't be, this is another step you guys want to pay attention to. Configuration scripts generated by installer to be run as privileged user root. So you say, yeah, sure, that's fine. So now we see the registration of Oracle database was successful. So this is why you need a DBA, right? The Oracle software is all good, but if we do a ps ef grep for Aura, we see that the Oracle user is definitely running some processes. But if we look for a basic database process, grep for pmon, for example, we're not seeing anything. So now what we need to do is create an actual database. So from our db home 1, which is at this particular path, we can cd into bin, and from bin there's a script, well, a program, dbca. DBCA is Database Configuration Assistant. This is going to allow us to create an actual database instance. We'll run through this right quick just for giggles. I'll say create a database, and then I'll give it the default global database name ORCL. I like caps because it shows up in several spots, and I think I like that better. And administrative password and confirm password. Create a container database? Sure. And we'll give let's create a pluggable too, PDB1. Let's say next. Yeah, I know my admin password's weak. It's Oracle, all lowercase. Don't do that. Don't do that in production. I'll save this response file, which is actually a little bit better because you can use it to create databases with instead of just installing the software. I like these. So I'll say finish. So now at this point on Oracle Linux 8, it's going to go through the multiple steps of creating the database files, creating the fast recovery area, which is in the same mount point as the database file. So don't do this in production. I mean, create yourself a separate fast recovery area mount point, ideally on a separate disk on a NFS. I mean, well, maybe not NFS. That's going to impact performance pretty shittily. But create yourself a fast recovery area on a separate disk, multiplex your archived redo logs, multiplex your online redo logs, and balance I/O. But in a simple installation environment like this, it's fine. We're going to create everything in UO1 in the root volume group of Oracle Linux 8. So what you're going to see is you're going to see it go through, well, it being OUI, go through the various steps of creating the database instance, creating the pluggable database, creating the listener, because the listener doesn't exist at this point yet, and you'll see these details. What's really interesting to see is after a while, there's going to be this pop up, database alert log location. And any good DBA should know this location almost by heart because it's going to be the location. Let's create a new window and see if I can get this guy going like this. Any DBA should know this location because the alert log is something that needs to be constantly monitored in case any issue arises. So we're going to go ahead and navigate to that right now. And see about our alert log. Just make sure it's so it's already been created. So we're going to go ahead and do a tail -f on this alert oracle.log. And we can see the steps they're going to be taken for the actual container database instance and the pluggable database instance to be created. So over here on our right hand side, we see our container Oracle. We see all these different diagnostic messages, but essentially what we're seeing at this point is the creation of the ORCL container database, and it's pluggable. So it's pretty nifty to go ahead and, if you've never done this, if you just executed the OUI and at the end you said, okay, I've got a database, it's actually pretty interesting to go ahead and keep a tail going on this alert log and see the different operations that actually have to happen for it to get created. So we can see various steps here, like the actual container getting created, the pluggable getting created from the PDB $seed, various resize operations for the different files of the database. We can see a couple of different error messages that happen every single time you install Oracle database. It seems like they would take care of that, but it's Oracle. We see file 1, file 4, old size, new size. We see resize operations for the data files of the container database. We see resize operations for the data files of the pluggable database. And we basically get to see this database being born, if you will. So the interesting thing to look at here is this alert log. Like I say, go ahead and just keep you a tail of it. There are one or two minor problems that can present themselves, so it's best to keep a tail on it. And then honestly, the diagnostic messages in this alert log are better than anything that you're going to get from the OUI. The OUI might return what I like to call garbage error messages, where you're really not seeing anything. There's a redo log that switched down here. But anyway, you're really not seeing anything of any value, of any sustenance. You're basically on the OUI going to get back these messages that may say, oh, I don't know. There's several different things you can get, and they're not going to be very helpful. But this alert log of this database here is going to be like you would expect from a production database. This is going to tell you exactly what happened. Maybe not exactly why it happened, but exactly what happened. And okay, well, maybe I can salvage this instance, or okay, I need to scrap these data files and start over from scratch. So that's what you basically have to do here. If we look at details right now during this progress, we can see creating and starting Oracle instance in progress, and we have redo log switches and file resize operations happening on our database. So I would expect that pretty quickly we're going to see this creating and starting Oracle instance step to finish. I would expect this to complete pretty soon, and then we're going to have the next step, and then we'll be good to go. But instead of just sitting here and rambling on, I'm going to go ahead and pause my video. You see some restores of data file. Anyway, I like this stuff better than you guys do. I'm going to go ahead and pause my video and wait for the next step, and then we'll resume from there. So guys, just want to check back in. We've got about 36% of the way done with DBCA. We see the pluggable database and the container database both cycle a few times, close and open, bunch of resizes, bunch of redo log switches, and just a good many operations that happen. So one thing to note is if you're on an underpowered VM at this point, you're going to see probably CPU usage go to about 100%. It happens. The DBCA runs through a ton of different steps. So just be aware that might be a possible thing. One thing that I did want to add that I did and I did not show, so I feel kind of bad about that. But anyway, let me change back to root user. I did add an entry in etc hosts for our actual host name. So host name is OL8. I added my IP address and host name. The listener configuration for the database can sometimes, it can be weird. I've had instances where if I didn't add the host name, just put some space down there. But anyway, if I didn't add the host name to etc host, the database would come up just fine. The instance would be chugging along, and then I couldn't connect through the listener to the actual database. One time, and it's a little different every time for me, but what I've noticed in the past is I could connect just fine to the container database. So I could do a SQL plus / sysdba at the command prompt. I could get into the container database just fine, no issue. And I could also do like an alter session, set container, and get into the container data or the pluggable database just fine. But what I noticed, put a little space down there. What I noticed was that if I tried to go through the listener and say like a SQL plus user at pluggable, it wouldn't work. And I said, okay, that's kind of weird. So I did a listener LSNRCTL status. LSNRCTL status says that the listener does not support any service other than the container. So that's an issue that you need to be aware of. If you do not have an entry in your /etc/host file for the VM and its IP address, and you can't ping the actual host name, then you may have issues there. So go ahead, before you do any of this stuff, go ahead and set that in etc host, because the last thing you want is to go through the painstaking process of installing Oracle database software, and then you can't connect to any of your actual pluggable databases, which is what matters if we're being honest. I mean, the container database is, from an administrative standpoint, what you need to care about, but the end users are going to care about the pluggable databases, which are the application databases. So just thought I'd mention that. It looks like this is running about as fast as it usually does, which is slow. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this recording, and we'll pick back up when I find something else interesting to talk about. Just wanted to mention this is a step you're going to see a couple of times. I paused my pause of this video. You're going to see this utlrp begin. So what you're going to see is several times some changes happen to the container, some changes happen to the pluggable, and then they run this utlrp underscore bgn step. Now, if you've been a DBA for some time, you're quite familiar with what utlrp is. So utlrp exists in Oracle Home / rdbms / admin, and it's a SQL script, utlrp.sql. And what it does is it compiles every invalid object in the database. So basically this is just Oracle doing Oracle, saying, all right, let's go ahead and create this pluggable, create this container, and we're going to go ahead and see if we screwed anything up and recompile the invalid objects. So typically you'll see this 4 or 5 times. You see the N down here for PDB seed. It's going to run through each pluggable, each container, and what you're going to see, which you don't see it so often if you've just chosen to create one pluggable, but some people that use DBCA response files create 5 or 6 pluggable databases, you're going to see that being run through for each of those pluggables. So the time that it takes to do these steps is proportionate to how many pluggable databases you've elected to create during this step. So keep that in mind. If you've created one pluggable database, as we've done here, created one single one, PDB1, we see it shut down, started up right now, and then we see utlrp being run against it before and after. I think it does as well. It's not going to take very much time, but it's going to be something that you're going to want to keep in mind if you're creating this from a script, this instance from a script, or if you're just creating it using the command line, going through OUI. That's going to impact the amount of time that it takes to go through and actually create your databases. So a lot of folks have these scripts, and I'm just on a tangent here, but a lot of folks have these scripts for like disaster recovery, for example. They don't use replication. They don't use whatever. They say, well, if the time comes, we're just going to go ahead and install Oracle again. Keep in mind, it's going to take time to install these pluggables and create them. So it looks like we're actually done here. I'm going to go ahead and put a couple lines below the last entry in the alert log. We see database creation complete, and that is the log files at this location, our global database name, and our SID. Password management will let us set the passwords for the system users. What I like to do is just set it for sys and system, which is already done by the installer, but I like to go ahead and do it here. And yeah, ignore the warning that it's a crappy password and click close. So now I've got my alert log here. Who am I down here on the left screen? I'm Oracle. Make sure Oracle Home and Oracle Base are set. Do I have SQL Plus? I do. So in order to log into the instance, we need to set our Oracle SID, ORCL, and echo that back, ORCL. So now if I say SQL Plus / sysdba, I can see I'm at a SQL Plus command prompt. I'm connected to Oracle Database 19.3.0.0.0, and if I do a select instance name from $, instance, connect to the Oracle database, and if I do show PDBs, I see PDB1, and I can alter session set container equals PDB1, and we are in, guys. I mean, we're in. That's it. Now we installed an Oracle database. We have used the zip installation media to run the installer from our Oracle home at directory UO1 app Oracle product 19.0.0.0 db home _1, and we're basically in business here. There's not much else to that. Some people go about it using the RPM old school way. You're going to be on like bare metal or whatever. I like to go about it using the zip file because it gives you the ability to choose exactly where you want your Oracle home. You get to choose everything about it, and I can do something like a alter system, switch log file, and we see down here the redo log advanced to the next sequence. So that's about all there is to installing Oracle Database 19c on Oracle Linux 8. There's not a whole lot else that I haven't covered that you really can run into. I mean, there may be something if you didn't disable SE Linux or something like that. But another thing I like to do is a listener CTL status. Huh, that's interesting. I don't know why there isn't a listener. I did add that different change to Etsy host as the OUI was doing its thing, so maybe that's why there's no listener. Do a status again. Oh yeah, we're good. We have our PDB1 and our ORCL, so everything's being recognized. So that's about all there is to it, guys. Like I said, the most difficulty that this gives me is when I don't add the entry to Etsy hosts, and when I don't change that Oracle home /cv/ what is it, cv/admins, and then this cvu config. So that can, like I said, that'll bite you. You'll sit there and say, I know this is a supported OS, but it really isn't until you change that environment variable. Another thing that I like to do, and I've done it in this step, is go ahead and change the bash rc file for Oracle. Make sure you've got Oracle base, Oracle home, and you've got your path exported to a pinned Oracle home /bin to it. But other than that, guys, there's nothing to it. It's pretty consistent. It's not like installing rack or grid. It's really easy. So if you guys have any sort of questions whatsoever, please do not hesitate to reach out. I will be happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.